Hey everyone, it's me, Noah Mean from the Arc of Truth, and it's currently the 5th of December 2017. What I'm going to be focusing on right now is basically tax reform. We've already heard reports back on Saturday that the Senate narrowly passed their own version of their tax reform bill with 51 for and 49 against. 49 against. With only Bob Corker, the Republican senator from Tennessee, being the only defection from the Republicans in the Senate. So far, that means good news. Because since the House already passed their own version of the tax plan, and the Senate passed their own version of the tax plan, this could mean that This means that both houses are in step with one another. The only problem is they need to each figure out the best bill to compromise with, because the tax plans that each passed were completely different. For the House, the brackets for tax reform was instead of 7 dropped down to 4, while in the Senate the brackets remain at the same place as they originally did. Now, both had other differences, like in the Senate there was a increase of tax credit for children, I think it was, and there was also the idea of the mandate on Obamacare, which wasn't really touched on in the House. So there's going to be some issue going on eminently with the tax reform, considering that House Republicans and Senate Republicans both made their own different kinds of the bill. I'm kind of hopeful though, because the fact that both houses managed to pass something so important such as tax reform is definitely a major step. Originally, when something like this happens, it was the Senate that usually, through a very small margin, tended to kill many of the bills. Check repealing Obamacare, for example. Back on their last attempt, John McCain was actually the one of 3 Republican senators that defected and voted no to repealing certain parts of Obamacare. Now, admittedly, this wasn't a full repeal, which I agree with, but personally, I would have think that it would have been fine to still have partial repeal and then a full repeal later. But to continue on, the fact that John McCain was one of the key senators that actually voted against this was saying something, because Republicans in the Senate were not really together on this, despite the fact that many of them are identified or claim to be conservative and actually want the very same things that President Donald Trump wants. And to see that the Senate has been failing at that, to actually get a lot of these measurements passed, is definitely very frustrating. But now, with tax reform, that is completely different. We have 2 versions, and admittedly 2 different versions of tax reform passed in both houses. Now all they need to do is work out a compromise between the House and Senate Republicans. I don't know what the compromise is going to be. From what I know, there's probably, if I were to make the best guess possible, what would be included would be tax credit for children. I forgot what it was for. It was something that Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida, was proposing to include in this bill. To including the mandate on Obamacare, plus also maybe reintroducing that 4-bracket tax plan, so that way it's no longer 7 but 4 only, which would help make taxes be relatively easy on the working and middle classes. Of course, there is definitely going to be Democrats going to be very opposed to this. In fact, not a single Democrat voted for either of these bills. Not in the House, and definitely not in the Senate. In the Senate, that's not unusual. But in the House, I should expect that there would be expecting a few Democratic congressmen and women to actually vote for the House version at the time. But no, that wasn't the case. That could maybe change with this whole new bill that is supposed to compromise between the House and Senate Republicans. Maybe. Don't get your hopes up. I'm not expecting that the Democrats change anything and say, oh, we're totally on board with this. Maybe at least like maybe 5 Democratic Congress people would be in support of this bill. I'm not really sure that's even going to be the case though. It's a very slim possibility. It's still a possibility, but it's very slim. I'm hopeful for this, considering that now both houses of Congress actually agree on something. We're actually one step closer on tax reform. That leads me to my second issue that I need to talk about. It's about Michael Flynn. Yeah, I said before that I was going to update you on the kinds of things that were to talk about specifically on his plea deal. Yes, he's going to work. It's true that he's going to work with and cooperate with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Robert Mueller's team with in terms of the whole Russia thing meddling in our election conspiracy. But he isn't going to testify or anything like that. At least so far at the moment. Right now, it's just sharing information. Yet the media was already spinning this as though it was going to be a major game changer, and it's going to be like affecting Donald Trump's whole entire presidency. It's not. I said before that I didn't think it was going to affect it that much, and if so, it's just going to be a temporary bleep. That's it. And honestly, I was kind of right. There isn't really anything new. The media has been inflamed as to say that this is definitely going to affect Donald Trump. If you don't believe me, take a look at The View. I think it was. There was this redhead. Entertaining woman. I'm sorry. I don't know who she is because I don't really watch The View. But I heard on Mark Dice that this same woman was introduced to breaking news about this Michael Flynn, and she was excited, and so was the rest of the audience. It was funny. She was excited, and then the next day she had to correct herself, but no apology. But now, I'm not concerned about the apology. I'm just concerned about how much hype this is in the media. The problem is, it's not really affecting anything. Even Donald Trump is not really affected by it. Yes, he did comment on it. I think it was in Twitter or in one of his news conferences. But all he said that he basically fired him because he was lying to the FBI, the vice president, and that sort of thing, which is completely understandable, and it's definitely true. I mean, he did lie. Michael Flynn did lie to the vice president after all, and it definitely caused some major problems with President Trump. So again, it's not. I don't think anything new is going to turn up with this. I could be wrong but for right now, nothing is really going on except the fact that Flynn has pleaded guilty to specifically lying to federal authorities. And yeah, there's not really too much to offer. I think the whole Russia investigation thing is beyond dead. Right now, I think the media is just being a dead horse. That's all I have for you for today. My name is Noah Meehan from the Arc of Truth. Please comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and like this video. Bye.